eyesight. They took him out.
Let anything stand in your way.
Press engage.
Serious trauma detected.
Target took a hit.
Incoming backup request.
My armor's falling apart. Attack them! They're just standing there. Enemies close.
What's up guys, Wolf here. Hopefully you did enjoy the gameplay. This video may be a bit longer, so I apologize for that, but I want to make sure I explain everything in a bit of detail. The damage meta has shifted, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. I still see many people using the Tinkerer mask, which is fine. I think in a lot of situations, the Tinkerer mask will definitely still be the best way to get the most damage. This will definitely be more of a situational element, but I want to explain something, specifically how the new exotic gloves work, so you guys actually realize how powerful they are. Because I think a lot of people still don't understand how they work. So the new Overdog gloves are obtained this season from level, I think it's 29. There we go. So you get these gloves from completing up to level 29 of the seasonal pass. Go and get them. Let's take a look. This is the setup that I'm going to be using from now on for maxed out damage. Now, obviously, as I will mention, these gloves can be situational. Same with Tinkerer. It depends on your situation and the level of difficulty, what enemies you are going to be facing. But this is going to be all red, so it's going to be primarily focused around more difficult content. Simple. I'm going to do a full demonstration to show you guys and compare to the Tinkerer, because we know by now that Coyotes is not really the best anymore. Tinkerer combinations do more damage than Coyotes. It's just because of the weapon talents we have on certain types, like assault rifles and more specifically LMGs. I feel like this is a very good LMG season because of the Zealot Globe modifier, which is very powerful. And you're going to be seeing it a lot in my videos because it's just too good. So let's take a look at the setup, then I will give you a direct comparison. So this is very simple, guys. And by the way, the nice thing is you can use the Lexington now, which does more damage than any other high-end assault rifle. It's like a 3.5% increase somewhere there from my spreadsheets I've got. So we have got the Lexington, which we can make use of, because when you use the Tinkerer mask, you won't be able to make use of this. Also, the Striker's chest piece can be used. It's a very simple change. All you need to do is either put turmoil or a Cheska piece somewhere else, and like a mask or holster or knee pads, and then use a Striker's chest piece if you really want to make use of getting full stacks. Most of the time though, on all red builds, it's not going to be easy to actually maintain or get full Striker's chest piece stacks. So just keep that in mind. So I've been able to use the Lexington now, which is really good. Rock and roll to stack it up. I have chosen Killer because it's just really good. Even in a group, this is not a solo build. You can use Streamline, you can use whatever talent you want, but I'm primarily going to be going off of damage ones. I'll give a comparison between using Killer and Streamline. But Killer is just too good because now you can really do a lot of damage, so you will be able to get kills in a group. So Killer gives us 70% critical hit damage. Lexington, amazing. Make sure you put the right mods, crit chance, it's up to you though, and extended magazine. Rock and roll is just nice to stack the strikers, but you don't have to use that. You can use whatever secondary. Also, Busy Little Bee to get more damage. You shoot it on a bunch of enemies, and then you can get increased damage. It's quite powerful. You can also use the Orbit Pistol. Striker's 4-piece, including the backpack. The backpack gives me more efficiency for my damage. Then, every single modification is critical hit damage. Simple. Every single attribute can be crit chance or crit damage. It depends on your critical hit chance amount. So with this, all of them are going to be critical hit chance bar the backpack, which is critical hit damage. And then what you want to do is, also the chest piece is crit chance and crit damage. You go into your stats and you check don't go less than 54%, probably 56 because we are using Obliterate, which makes use of the crit chance. Well, you need to crit to actually get it stacked. So that's a pretty decent amount of crit chance and critical hit damage. I'm using Gunner Spec for the armor on kill, the RPM, getting some bullets back. That's the primary reason for using that, but you can decide what you go for there. So Cheska, more crit chance, very nice, and Obliterate. This is a very good talent. Critical hits increase total weapon damage 1% for 10 seconds, stacks up to 20 times. So we want to make sure we crit as much as we possibly can. Then these new gloves. These are very strong. I'm going to explain to you guys as briefly and as simply as I possibly can. A lot of people think that you only get damage to the lowest ranking enemies and that's it. That's not how they work. So it amplifies weapon damage by 30%. We are going to be able to do way more damage with these gloves than with the actual Tinkerer mask in a lot of situations. It depends how you play. You just need to play a certain way and it can work. And I want to make this clear as well. So it amplifies weapon damage by 30% to the lowest ranking enemies currently in combat, as per the tier hierarchy system. So this is going to be tier 3. So we are going to be doing damage 30% amplified, which is multiplicative, to any enemy that isn't listed here, and skill proxy. So basically the normal enemies, red bars, all the weakest enemies. But here's the thing. Once you have cleared out these, then you get the damage to tier 2. And then once you've cleared out these, then you get the damage to tier 1. It goes up the ladder. So you will still have the damage all the time if you shoot the right enemies. And here's where it gets interesting. If you use turmoil knee pads and you do damage to the one where you get the damage to the lowest ranking enemies, the max damage stays the same when you hit the 50% damage to the other enemies. So turmoil will count. You will get the max damage to these guys anyway. So if you use turmoil, you will still be doing damage to the other enemies you're not supposed to be getting the damage with. So that's how they work, and it's really good. Once you use it, you will see millions and millions more damage than Tinkerer if you use it correctly. But by all means, you do not need to use these. They can be situational. You got to play a certain way, otherwise you might not make use of it. But I'm enjoying them, and I am seeing way more damage numbers if you play a certain way. Sometimes just play. Just focus the weakest enemies first. You don't need to know all of this. Just kill the weakest enemies and go up the ladder, and that's it. Or even just play the game. You will see that you will be hitting numbers anyway, the higher numbers anyway. Let's kind of go for a direct comparison. Let me just finish explaining the build. So it's simple. You blast enemies, try go through the ranking system, and I have decoy and shield, active regen, health on the shield, and duration and health on the decoy. It's going to be a simple build, a simple test. What I will do is I will use a different weapon. I've got a FAMAS, and we're going to keep it uniform, and I will swap the talents accordingly just to make it, a bit easier. Now, this is situational. It depends on you as a player, but if you do want to get the max damage, I recommend going for something like this. So I'll be able to proc killer over there. If I use streamline, it's not going to be a problem. So once again, you can't use Lexington with the Tinkerer mask. So we're going to change it anyway, even though I would be getting more damage. So here it is. I've got streamline, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my other assault rifle. It doesn't matter. It's just an M4 with killer. And then simple swap. I'm going to swap these to a crit chance gloves. And then we're going to put the Tinkerer mask with a critical hit damage modification. It's that simple. And we've got high amounts of crit. So let's get it stacked up. Doesn't take long. Now keep in mind, guys, it depends what talent you use on the other weapon, but I'll explain that shortly. So we get 2 of the best damage talents in the game. Now it depends on you. You might not use these. Let's get killer activated. There we go. So as you can see, 1,089,000 and 366,000. So what you're going to see happen is we're going to put on the amplified damage, and it's going to be not too different on the crits, but more specifically the non-crits. So let's take a look. Simple swap back. Crit chance, crit damage mod, overdogs. Now, in the range, there's no hierarchy system, so we get the damage. So I just wanted to put that out there. So as you can see, we did 1,089,000 and 366. So I'm gonna swap the talent, my primary talent specifically, so that you guys can see a difference here. Because if I use killer, obviously the crits are going to be way higher. But with streamline, it's going to be different. So we are stacked up. So 1,082,000. It's slightly less crit, but we've got over 100,000 damage more on the non-crits. And we don't have over 60% crit chance like we used to have. So you will be doing more damage with this. But by the way, I will be using Lexington, which means I'll be doing even more damage. So this is just a rough test, and it can be RNG based, but I wanted to showcase this to you guys. The non-crits will way outweigh the amount of damage you're doing per crit, but that is, I guess, RNG based. So let's quickly, and remember, I can use the Tinker. I want to make that clear. So what I'm going to do is to be honest, I wouldn't even use Streamline. I would use Killer, even in a group situation, because I'm getting kills. I do lots of damage. So let's see a difference here. Let's get the proc. There we go. Already. Look at the damage. It's like 200,000, just under 200k more damage a crit. And I'm getting more damage to non-crits. Around about like 40, 50,000 extra. So I am doing way more damage with these gloves. Obviously it's situational, but just keep that in mind. But as you can see, non-crits and crits are way, way higher. So you will, if you play your cards right and you go through the game playing to the hierarchy system, which isn't actually that difficult, you can make use of this and just do way more damage than we've ever been able to do before because of 30% amplified damage. And remember, Turmoil knee pads works. So if you think you're only going to be doing that damage all the time, if you put Turmoil on, you will rip through these guys as well with the max damage. So I just wanted to make this video just to explain it to you guys. But by all means, I'm not saying that you have to use these. There will be situational elements. But I guess even with the Tinkerer mask, there's still situational elements in that as well. You know, you run out of ammo quicker. What talents are you going to be using? If you don't use a damage talent, you're sacrificing damage, but do you want utility from armor on kill? Do you want, you know, quicker reload speed, especially with an LMG? But Frenzy is a different story. So I wanted to primarily focus around assault rifles. Assault rifles is what a lot of people preferably use. It'll be different with different archetypes, weapon archetypes, but it's up to you. But try these, use them. Hopefully this video has given you guys a better explaining and, you know, a bit more information so you know how they work. What I will say is I do find there's sometimes a bug with these gloves. Just take them off and put them back on. Sometimes you do see different numbers. In the PTS, I was very confused as to how these worked. But I've got a very, very interesting build coming up with the new sniper. I need to get it first, but the new Shroud sniper, you guys are going to love this one. It's wild. So please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.